Dr. Cordolino? Mrs. Fano?
Here.
Dr. Modrak? Here. Mr. Palma?
Here.
Mr. Petrosino? Mr. Rappaport?
Here.
Mrs. Smith?
Here.
Mrs. Zuckerman? Mr. Daughtry?
Here. We can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The open public meetings notice.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education provided a public notice of this meeting, which included the time, date, and location that was posted at the Montville Township Municipal Building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, the district website, and advertised in the Daily Record and the Montville Tap Into, the board's official newspaper, on March 26, 2026.
Thank you. Move to superintendent's report.
Thank you. I have 3 presentations for tonight. The first 2 are required by law. This is what we do every semester. So just to report out on the second semester of our schools with the HIB student safety data systems. These incidents and these reports will all be put on our website tomorrow. So just taking a look at the high school and Lazar, we had an increase in our incidents last spring. So for the incident total, we had an increase at the high school of 13, and we had an additional 4 compared to the previous year. Violence went up by 8 at the high school. Violence was incidents. That could be any kind of physical altercation with students. And we also had the same number going up by 8 at Lazar. Vandalism went up by 1 incident at the high school, and it went down by 2 at Lazar. Substance abuse went down at the high school by 1 and up by 2 at Lazar. And Lazar had 4 weapons offenses in the second semester, which is an increase over the previous year at the same time period. We had an increase of 5 HIB confirmed cases at the high school, 1 additional one at Cedar Hill, 12, an increase of, 10 at the middle school compared to last year. And incidents that led to removal of students, we were down 1 at the high school and unfortunately up 41 at the middle school. So this was a little bit more of an unusual uptick in some of the incidents in the spring. We were doing really well over the past couple of years, including in the fall, but this spring we had a little more unusual activity. We'll be keeping an eye on this as we move forward in the fall next year, and this all will be on the website as indicated. We also have to do each school has to do their self-assessment. I know it might be a little difficult to see, but each school has to have a committee of teachers, administrators, as well as some parents on the committee, taking a look at the HIB and how they were doing and should we be doing things differently. This is the summary report that has to be reported out each year. This also will be put on the district website. And we saw, this is just a self-assessment. So the committee looks at what they did, how did things go over the course of the year, what could they have done differently, what could they have done better. And so these scores are, just measured against themselves, basically. So Lazar gave themselves a 13 for the core element number 1, which is about HIB programs and approaches, which is down from the total, which they could have given themselves a 15. So they felt they could do a little bit better over this past year, which they'll try and work on next year. So that came down 2. Core element 2 was training on the Board of Ed HIB policies. Lazar moved themselves up 1, so to a 9. Core element number 3, which is other staff instruction and training programs. Lazard gave themselves a -1, so that was a total of 14. And Hilldale improved themselves up to a 15 from the previous year. The other scores for core elements 4, 5, and 6 all stay the same. Core element 7, which is HIB, investigative procedure, Lazard gave themselves +3, going up to the maximum of a 12 compared to the year before that. HIB reporting, everybody stayed the same. And the max scores you could get for any of the schools is a 78. Lazard moved up +1 to a 75. And Hilldale moved up +1 to a 77. The schools remain the same. Again, that will be put on the district website. Just 1 second. Any questions on that from the board? Now to go into view here, present full screen. Okay, moving on to the, this is just going to be a referendum discussion tonight. We have to talk about the scope of the projects. So I'm just going to quickly present a couple of slides of some of the things we're going to be talking about. And then we'll have some questions for the board just to talk about this as we move forward. So over the past couple of months, we've been talking about our facilities repairs and the scope of the project for what we want to do moving forward with the referendum, which with some items like the boilers, windows, heating systems, surpassing now almost 60 years in service and dating back in some cases to the early 1960s, the time has come now to replace some of these items with new efficient systems to improve the in-school experience for both students and staff. These projects are relatable to almost any homeowner. Most people do not look at the windows and admire them, just like people don't look at the boiler and wonder if it's, if it's the best one they could have ever had. When they're working, we barely think about these things. However, when they're not working, we definitely notice them. And these pictures are just showing what the current condition of all these projects are. So most of these projects, they aren't going to be flashy. They're not going to be new, like something you can see on the athletic fields, or they're not going to be something that you can sit there in awe. They're going to be behind the scenes. It's going to be mostly infrastructure projects we're talking about, but they are essential projects that have to be done to keep us going with our schools. The reality is many of our school buildings and some of the systems inside of them are now more than 60 years old. Anyone who owns a home understands this and eventually knows that they have to fix the roofs, the windows, the heating systems, the electrical systems, and so on. A lot of these infrastructure things just need to be replaced. Most of the time we've been trying to fix them. A lot of these units are outdated. We cannot do that anymore. We can't get parts for them. So we've been cannibalizing other units and stuff like that to keep a lot of these systems running. Maintaining 7 schools is no different than running your own home. We just operate on a much larger scale, and because of that scale, these projects cannot be done out of the normal operating budget. The school system, aside from being the largest employer in town, also provides a safe space for more than 3,400 students each year, and we maintain 7 schools. Our schools are some of the most heavily used public buildings in the town, and their performance, condition, and appearance have a direct connection to the strength of our community. The leadership team, we've been talking about this over the past couple of months here at the central office and all over here on the board. We provided transparency about a lot of these numbers over the past couple of months and the whole entire process. With a total project cost of approximately $35 million, those are the 2 main projects we've been talking about. $4 million for the high school auditorium, $31 million for a lot of the infrastructure. So I'm just using that number as a benchmark right now. The school district is eligible for approximately $14 million in state aid towards this whole project. Put another way, we're essentially getting about 40% discount on the projects that need to be completed. Instead of the Montville taxpayers financing the entire $35 million cost, the district would be responsible probably financing around $21 million with approximately $14 million coming from the state of New Jersey, which is a significant opportunity that greatly increases our ability to provide our schools with a nice, with what they need, with a nice little discount. So just looking at the quick timeline, if this is how things go, and the board is not going to be deciding upon this tonight, but this is just a rough draft of where we've been talking about where we're going to be going. So it's important to realize that we can't delay this work anymore. We have to start making some decisions on this stuff. A 60-year-old boiler doesn't get any younger each day and each year that we keep on using this equipment. It's just putting more more stress on the system. Eventually, these systems need to be addressed, and emergency repairs and replacements can be very costly when we have to do them in an emergency basis. So what this referendum is talking about is taking care of our buildings, our community, and how we've invested them for the past couple of generations, and moving forward in a fiscally, financially responsible manner with the taxpayer dollars. So I'm going to leave it right there. Again, this presentation will be put on the website, and we're going to open this up for a discussion with the board just right now, just talking about the scope of the project and where do we want to move. So just again, overall, we don't have to make a decision about the question. We don't have to make a decision about how many questions or what it's all going to look like. We just want to talk about more of the scope of the project and how you're going to give us permission to move forward. Do you want to give a little more backdrop, or just 1 second?
Okay, so this particular slide provides a checklist of the work what we have discussed, all of the work that we have discussed at each of the different locations. We, at the meeting in July, had done an approval for the board to have the architects to submit to the State of New Jersey Department of Ed the drawings for all of the items listed on here, with the exception of the auditorium at Lazar and the outdoor space at Lazar. Those two items you had indicated you were not interested in submission. Now, at the time that we met in July, we didn't have a dollar amount for the additional classrooms. So if you are looking at that particular list and you go up 5 from the bottom, there is a line that says classroom additions to reduce class size. All the other items on that list, excluding the auditorium at Lazar and the outdoor space at Lazar, represent the $35 million that we have been talking about over the last couple of meetings. That's all of those projects. If we were to add that line, the additional classroom additions to reduce class size at those 5 elementaries and Lazar, that would add 27 classrooms to the 6 buildings, across the 6 buildings, at an estimated value of $50 million. So the first question we have to ask is, we've already eliminated Lazar's auditorium. We have already eliminated the outdoor space at Lazar. The question is, again, we're talking scope. Are we including or not including the classroom additions? We are getting approval, review by the Department of Education currently on those projects, but you still have the ability to adjust scope. We have the ability to adjust scope into the fall. The point at which we no longer have the ability to adjust scope is when we actually strike the question. That isn't going to occur yet, but what we would like to know is what the will of the board is, so that when we do presentations at back to school nights, we're presenting and representing you well.
Thanks, Joe. So I'm a no for the no classroom additions. That definitely will bring down any referendum we try to put out there. So that's how I feel. As far as the high school auditorium, we would be getting 40%, correct? Not the.
When we did the presentation, we mentioned 2 different auditoriums. One for Lazar, which would be new construction. We'd build it outside of the building. And one at the high school, which was just a renovation of the existing space. The renovation of the existing space at the high school will qualify for the 40% match by the state in debt service aid. The additional space, the new construction that might occur at Lazar with a new auditorium, would not be eligible for 40%. That was based on, if you remember, the architect mentioned a per square foot dollar value, and when you would use that number and the amount of space that we'd be talking, it would run something more like 10, 15% of the total project would be funded by the state. I know that we use those two auditorium words interchangeably, which led to some confusion. But the auditorium that we are referring to when we talk about what we submitted is the renovation of the high school auditorium that would be eligible for the 40%. The board has already taken off the table the auditorium at Lazar and any outdoor space at Lazar. So that's not even being considered anymore.
Can you explain to us why the high school auditorium needs to be done and what projects would that $4 million entail?
So the board had approved about 10 years ago the renovation of the stage and lighting. So if you think of the auditorium and you split it in half, the area around the stage had been renovated about 10 years ago. The area that we call the house, which is where everybody sits when they're watching a performance, has never been significantly renovated. I think back 15, 20 years ago, you had done a revamping of the chairs, basically recovering them. But no significant renovation has ever been done to the auditorium. So what we are proposing with this particular renovation is a renovation of the house. That would include the replacement of the seating, the replacement of all the flooring. It would be a significant renovation on the sound system. One of the issues when they built the original building, which is what the auditorium is, it's the original building, they ended up putting in a bulkhead, and that bulkhead causes a lot of sound variances. So when you have someone standing on the stage singing, you're getting it bouncing all over the place as it's hitting that bulkhead. They would eliminate the bulkhead so that you would have a clean space for them to perform. A lot of this is talking about sound quality. And as we have been improving the music programs and the dramatic programs throughout the district, we would like to provide them with a space comparable for performances. Just as a complete aside, if you had been in the auditorium 10 years ago, there were a lot more seats for you to sit in. We have been cannibalizing seats over the past 5 years because we can't fix the ones we have. So what we do is we keep eliminating rows in the back, and we use those seats to replace the broken seats somewhere else in the auditorium.
So thank you for all that information. The one thing I'm concerned about is all the repairs have to be done. That's like the number one priority. The auditorium, although I was in musical theater my whole life, I've been in the auditorium, and to me, I don't know. I don't know if it needs renovation, and I would be in fear that if we added it to that first question, it could get turned down. Now, could it be a second question? That's possible, but I also think the public really needs to know that we'd be getting 40%. I don't know if we could put that in the question on the ballot so people can see that. The 40% is really important, but I do have some worries that if we put that where the boiler is and all of that, people will think that's a wish list item. Just because even if we communicate it widely, I just have a concern about that.
So the answer is yes to both your questions. So we could make it a separate question of just the auditorium, and it would be eligible for the 40%, and we would make that very clear to the public as we go out and educate them more about the whole project.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm in agreement with Christine on the 40% stuff. As much as I would love to see something like an auditorium at Lazar, I just don't think this is the right time for it, especially if we're not getting the 40%. I think we're biting off more than we can chew, and I'd rather get the stuff that we need. The auditorium, I'm very proud of our musical theater program. I think we have a premier theater program, an outstanding musical program, and I do think I do see a difference in quality of sound between our auditorium and others. There are some dead spaces. Sometimes I can hear the band playing, and sometimes I don't hear enough echo. Sometimes it's very dead sounding, and I do think it would be a significant upgrade, but I think we do have to maybe think about keeping it separately because I don't want the whole thing to fail for the auditorium as much as I'd like it. I think we can successfully sell the auditorium if we do establish to the public that this is a significant educational upgrade, because obviously arts are part of education, and it's going to dramatically enhance our performing arts program and be of great use to the community. Question I have, say we're not actually voting on anything tonight, we're just looking at directions. When do we actually have to pull the trigger on what is actually going to go on the ballot?
I don't have an exact date, but if I'm going to guess, it's 60 day. The ballot has to be drawn up prior to 60 days before the election. So that if we start backing up, that's putting us, I think, probably the meeting you have in October, because your October meeting is very late. It's at the very end of the month, just before Halloween. I have a feeling that's the date that bond council is going to say. I'm going to go, once I kind of had an idea of where we're heading, I'll check with bond council and your finance team next, and we'll schedule them to come and speak to you. And then he can provide more information. He can also provide more information in terms of the structure of what that question would look like. Mrs. Fano spoke about a second question. That's where that conversation would be had. What are the benefits of everything being all lumped together? What's the benefits of splitting things out? And then based on, do we create two separate questions? Do we create them so that one is contingent on the other? All of those are discussions we can have with bond counsel, and we would bring him here for you to have that discussion so that what we finally decide on is how you want it presented on the ballot.
So I think it's important to go forward with the first two questions as separate questions, one with the 31 million, one with the 4 million for the high school auditorium. I would like to see them as separate questions, not contingent upon each other, because I would hate for one to affect the outcome of the other. I think the point of having two questions is so people can truly reflect their opinions on what they think is important for the district. As hard as it is for me to say this, I do not think we should put out the $50 million one for classrooms. While I think we could certainly use the classrooms and use the space, unfortunately, I just don't think that is the utmost priority right now when we need that first question to pass and we need the parts to fix the items in the buildings that are falling apart. So I think we really need to focus on getting that passed. And adding on a second question for the auditorium, in the grand scheme of things, a $4 million project that we're getting 40 cents on the dollar back on is not a huge effective item. So my opinion right now is to move forward with those two and not move forward with the $50 million classroom additions. Stick to what we can repair, not what we need to create.
Yeah, I would agree with everyone so far. The infrastructure needs are critical. We should go ahead with that. I would also agree, put the auditorium, the high school auditorium renovations as a separate question. And unfortunately, I don't think that there's enough support in the community for the classroom additions, even though we really could use them. And in a few years, people are going to wonder why we didn't. But right now, I just don't know that there's enough support in the community to pass that.
I mostly agree with all the board members. We should move forward with the facility repair list, the $35 million list that includes the renovation to the high school auditorium. Those are just necessary, and that's the questions we need to move forward with. I think it was like 2 years ago, we did reach out to the public about the classrooms, and that did not pass. And nothing's really has changed since then to warrant, I think, bringing that question back at this time. So I would not pursue the additional classrooms at this time, especially with the immense price tag that it has. The one thing that I know we don't decide right now, but just because everyone's weighed in, I would recommend putting the high school auditorium in the first question with all the repairs. I see the changes to the auditorium as repairs, true repairs to the auditorium that are needed, and and that's shown by, because it does qualify for the 40%, like all the other repairs do. And as you said, the chairs are being cannibalized. There's problems with the roof, and I think that it's with that 40% discount, it's something that's really needed for the school, especially since we have both Lazar and high school performances in the one auditorium, plus tons and tons of other events. And having one area that's up to more modern standards and that is in great working order would be very good for the students and all the performances. It will reflect well on the district. And finally, if you go take a look at some other districts' auditoriums, they are significantly better than what we have today. And so you can see what a revamped, a renovated auditorium can do, and what it makes it, what the whole district will feel. The whole district will feel better by having the renovated auditorium. So that's why I think it's important that to be part of the first question with all the other repairs.
Thank you. I'm in agreement with all of you regarding the proposed referendum. Facility repairs, they need to be done. The auditorium, as someone who goes to county meetings and going to celebrations and stuff, seeing the usage of auditoriums and just how it compares ours to others, I feel that it's necessary. But I also do understand the community's concerns, because we already have got some feedback, seen on social media, some emails. They don't want to see us spending money on an auditorium. But also there's some misinformation that was sent out there regarding what percentage we'll be getting back. So either way, I think we should move forward with both those. I think the classrooms are something that we have to postpone for right now. But that is where I am on this. And Tom, you have something you want to read?
So 3 board members had prior commitments, but they did weigh in. Mr. Petrosino, Mrs. Zuckerman, and Dr. Cordolino all support a referendum. They all are supportive of the $31 million. All 3 were in support of separating the $4 million for the auditorium. And Mrs. Zuckerman also still feels that the public has been concerned about the classroom size at the elementary levels. And if we're doing a separate question, maybe we should still have a third question then as about the classrooms. Let the public decide and let the public give us their voice of what they want to do. So just want to enter that into the record.
Thank you.
So tonight, the scope, since there's 6 of you here, so we need a little more direction on how you want to, we heard you all, so.
Move forward with the first 2.
That's what it sounded like, the first 2. We're going to move forward with the infrastructure as well as the high school auditorium as the scope of the project, and not do the classrooms at the elementary level.
Okay, so the next step is going to be that back-to-school nights will be occurring before we probably see you next. And we'll begin to then communicate at each of the different buildings what their renovations will be as it applies to the high school. I will be reaching out to the architects for them to get us a drawing of what the auditorium will look like when they actually do the renovation, which will help for people to see that. We'll also be putting that on our website so the elementary and Lazar parents who might not necessarily be in the high school during back-to-school night would also be able to see that.
So now that we have the scope, then we will move forward in September and October. We will start working on the exact wording of the questions, and then we'll be starting to educate everybody to the exact dollar amounts and everything else, how we move forward, and start firming up a lot of the other dates.
Okay,
Thank you.
Just one, with regard to the back-to-school night information, I totally agree on the schematics to let the public see what they'd be getting in the auditorium. I just can't emphasize enough that's important the public understand this isn't just a cosmetic project. It's a functional project to improve the functionality of the auditorium, not just giving it a cosmetic facelift.
Is there any way that the administration can put how we also rent out the facility, how much we're charging, and maybe how much we can upcharge once these things are completed? Because I'm sure we could charge more money, as well as what they're used for. It's for the young people, middle school, I mean, there's so many different programs.
Thank you so much. Moving on to committee reports. Michael, curriculum?
Yes, we met a couple weeks ago, and we did talk about the calendar for 27, 28. And it was a long discussion. We had to do a lot of analysis. There's a lot of competing interests, a lot of different parent groups, teacher groups, administrative needs, and things like that, we had to look at. Some people wanted things earlier, some people wanted things later, and we had to go through and try to balance all that out and balance it out with things that we can't move, like AP exams and when certain holidays fall. And we also had to balance it out with sports leagues that a lot of our students starting Lazar going through high school participate in. When do they start? When do they end? When do they have national championships? All that kind of stuff. So we had to look at all of that information, not just any one particular group, and try to come up with a calendar that best meets everyone's needs. And that's what we came up with, and that's what the committee had approved and is presenting tonight.
Sorry. Is the calendar on our agenda for approval tonight?
Yes.
Which item?
J5 on page 4.
Christine, policy?
No report.
Michael, communications?
No report.
Michael, Morris County School Boards?
No report.
The Educational Service Commission met last Wednesday. We had a meeting just to discuss the upcoming school year, just general business, kind of what we're doing here in Montville. The Alliance did not meet, so no report. Special Ed Advisory Group? All right, great, thank you. This is now the first public.
I'm sorry, just real quick. This would be normally the time when I would ask about Hilldale. Do we want to hold off on that discussion until the old business, or do we want to do that now? Okay, great.
This is going to be the first public participation for items on the agenda, so if you'd like to come up and speak about any items on the agenda, you may come up now.
Okay, good evening. Is this on? Okay. My name is Amberin Hussein Rizvi. I live at 5 Darrow Court. That's what we have to say, right? Okay. So first, I sincerely thank the board and the district for recognizing Eid al-Fitr as a school holiday, and our community is very grateful. I know we're talking about the calendar, not specifically Eid al-Adha, but it's a shame that it wasn't on the agenda, but we're going to talk about it now. However, when we began this effort years ago, we requested for both Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha because both are major religious holidays for Muslim families. So over the years, we've attended multiple meetings, written numerous emails and letters, spoken with several administrators, and pursued every available avenue. We've repeatedly explained the religious significance of Eid al-Adha and the growth of Montville Muslim community altogether, and the impact on all our children. At this point, it's difficult to know what more we as parents can say that has not already been said. Therefore, rather than repeat everything already contained in our correspondence, We're asking you once again to listen to our children. And we recognize that the discussion is taking place in the middle of August, so a lot of the families are on vacation. But that, makes participation difficult. It's just unfortunate because otherwise you guys are gonna, confirm this calendar. So before we speak, I'd like to place a few important points, make a few important points. Approximately 150 Montville students were absent this year on Eid al-Adha. And that number does not necessarily include every Muslim student who observes Eid. So some still attended school because they felt they could not miss the tests, assignments, sports, extracurricular activities, or other responsibilities. So please keep in mind that our children should not have to choose between fully observing one of the most important days of their faith and meeting their academic and extracurricular obligations. The Montville Muslim community has grown significantly, and these children are an important part of Montville. And they're in our classrooms, they're on our sports teams, they're in our clubs, and they contribute to our schools every day. So we're not asking that district to take away any established winter or spring breaks, nor are we asking for any other communities' religious holidays to be removed. But we understand that the district must follow the New Jersey education laws and State Board of Education regulations, including the 180-day instructional requirement. However, other New Jersey districts operating under these same requirements have found ways to recognize it. So professional developmental days, individual days off, et cetera. I'm not going to be here to tell you how to make it, but to say that you tried is not enough, because there are other ways that it can be done when it's done with other districts in New Jersey, fulfilling the requirements. So we're simply asking for the board to look at this again carefully, seriously, and with a genuine commitment to finding a solution. Because where there's a will, there's a way, and we truly believe this can be done. After all the meetings and emails and letters, et cetera, now we have to give our kids an opportunity to explain why they would like to have Eid al-Adha off. Okay? Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. My name is Adan Mohammed, and Good evening. My name is Adan Mohammed, and I'm an incoming 9th grader in the Montville Township School District. I think Eid al-Adha should be recognized on our school calendar because it's an important day for many Muslim students and family members in our community. This year, around 150 students missed school for Eid, so it clearly affects a lot of people. For me, Eid is a day to pray, spend time with family, and celebrate with my community. But because it isn't on the school calendar, we have to miss school to celebrate it, which can mean missing classes, tests, or activities. We're here today to talk about education in our district, and recognizing Eid could also teach students something important, respecting different religions, cultures, and traditions. The last thing we want is for Muslim students to feel like celebrating an important part of religion means having to miss out on school. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education. My name is Isa Rizvi, and I'm an incoming 9th grade student at Montville Township High School. I'm here today to ask that our district recognize Eid al-Adha as a school holiday. I'm grateful that after years of students and families speaking up, Montville now recognizes Eid al-Fitr. That recognition means more than just simply having a day off. For Muslim students, it means seeing an important part of our identity and our community acknowledged by our schools. Montville's mission says that our schools strive to create a culture of inclusivity and a safe environment where students can break down barriers and respect one another. Recognizing Eid al-Adha would be a meaningful way to put those words into action. Islam is the second largest religious group in the world, with about 2 billion Muslims globally, and it's the fastest growing major religious group. But this isn't really about statistics, it's about students sitting in Montville classrooms today. The last time Eid al-Adha fell on a school day, there were about 153 absences. Some of us Muslim students still came to school because they were worried about missing tests, projects, advanced classes, practices, or falling behind. Some families had to email teachers after teacher just to make certain arrangements. As a student, I've felt overwhelmed trying to celebrate one of the most important days of my faith with my family while also worrying about what I was going to miss at school. I would like to enjoy visiting grandparents, being with family, or simply the experience of the holiday without feeling guilty about academics and other school-related commitments. This isn't us asking for special treatment, it's asking for equal recognition. Recognizing Eid al-Adha would tell Muslim students that they belong here, that their traditions matter, and that inclusivity in Montville is more than just a word in mission statements. I hope the board will listen to the students and families who have been asking for this for years and recognize Eid al-Adha as they have with Eid al-Fitr. Thank you so much for your time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yahya Ali, and I'm a student at Lazar Middle School preparing to enter the 7th grade. I'm here today to respectfully ask that our town recognize Eid al-Adha as an official day off for the district, as we already recognize Eid al-Fitr. Eid al-Adha is a very important religious holiday for Muslim families to celebrate, pray, and connect with family. Yet Muslim students like me have to miss school, including tests and projects, in order to observe it. And that's approximately 150 students in Montville. I have personally had to miss the test and a project day because of Eid al-Adha fell on a school day. And in upcoming years, Eid al-Adha will fall during the NJ Saleh testing period, which could create an even greater conflict for students. Just as Christmas and Easter are recognized because of their significance as a very important religious event for Christians, and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are recognized because of their significance to the Jewish community, Eid al-Adha should likewise be recognized because it commemorates a very important event in Islam as one of the two major holidays. Recognizing Eid al-Adha would allow Muslim students to observe their faith and spend meaningful time with families without having to sacrifice important educational opportunities. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Umair Faruqi, and I will be starting 6th grade at Lazar this fall. I would like to discuss the importance of Eid al-Adha for us. Eid al-Adha is one of the most important holidays for Muslims. As the Muslim community grows, more and more people have to choose between school and a religious holiday. This can make students miss tests, assignments, projects, and sports. For a kid like me who enjoys school, it's quite the dilemma. Around 150 kids were absent on Eid al-Adha last year due to the holiday being on a school day. That's a lot of people if you ask me. Also, other New Jersey districts have given a day off on this holiday already. So I hope you will consider giving this day off. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. I am Iman Ismail and going into 4th grade in Woodmont Elementary School. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. First, I really want to thank my awesome school district for recognizing Eid al-Fitr on our school calendar. It means a lot to Muslim students and families. I really appreciate that our community is becoming more inclusive. I love celebrating holidays with my family. I love Eid, but I also love celebrating Christmas, Easter, and other holidays with my friends. I think that is one of the wonderful things about a community. We can learn about and respect each other's traditions. I'm here today to ask that Eid al-Adha also be recognized on the school calendar. Eid al-Adha is one of the most important holidays for us. For my family, it is a special day of prayer, family, friends, food, and celebrating together. It is a day that I look forward to every year. When Eid falls on a student day, Muslims have to make a difficult choice. We may want to spend the day with our families and attend Eid prayer, but we also worry about missing school, tests, projects, sports, and many more activities. This year, about 150 students were absent from Montville schools for Eid al-Adha. This shows that Eid is already an important part of our school community. I believe recognizing Eid al-Adha will help Muslims students feel seen, respected, and included. It'll also show that Montville truly believes in the message to educate, inspire, and empower every student. I am proud to be a student in Montville, and I hope that in the future, Muslim students will be able to celebrate Eid al-Adha with their family without having to choose between their faith and school. Thank you for listening and considering our requests.
I just want to say thank you. Like I said, a lot of people are on vacation. They wanted to speak, but we weren't sure of the dates, so this is whoever was here. But thank you very much. I hope you guys really consider this now and revamp this calendar, please, once more time. Just look at it with a different eye, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very impressive students. We really appreciate it, and you make us very proud when you come up here and speak for what you believe in. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Public comments?
Okay. Moving on to consent resolutions. Can I get a motion? A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on section I? Section J?
Sorry, which one was the calendar?
J5, page 4.
Okay. And I'd like to just make a couple of comments. I see if we use more than 4 emergency days, we should be taking them off in the following order. We've got April 17th for day 1, then April 13th for day 2. Now, these are just my thoughts. And I know this may not sit well with some people, but if we get to Martin Luther King Day and we've already used 5 days for whatever reason, I really think we need to consider giving that one back as day 1. If we get to President's Day and we've already used 5 days, I think we need to consider that for day 2, because I'm very hesitant to start interfering with these spring breaks, because many people, including teachers, schedule vacations. Teachers really have only a limited amount of time they can take vacation, and as the summer is shrinking, it kind of eliminates, to a large extent, their flexibility. To me, taking off spring break should be the last option. Now, if we do have to get the spring break after we've used everything else, I agree on the next day being April 17th. That's a Monday. It's Easter Monday. A lot of people like Easter Monday, but you have to make some decisions. For the day 4, I don't understand why April 13th is day 4. That's a Thursday. I understand you don't want to give Good Friday. I understand you don't want to give Passover. That would be the 11th and the 14th. But I would think it would make a lot more sense if you had to take a day off that week, just take that Monday, the 10th off, rather than give the kids one day in the middle of the week having to come to school on a Thursday. Other than that, I agree with the starting and closing dates. And we have a lot of conflicting interests here. And as the school year gets earlier and earlier, for the longest time, I was an advocate of saying we shouldn't be starting before Labor Day, but I now understand and appreciate the exchange of saying we'll start earlier and end earlier, because most kids are back for sports and band and everything else anyway by August. And 13th, you get out a little early, you can actually have more vacation, give people more flexibility, because a lot of people can't take vacation in August. I'm just a little concerned about which days we're doing for these give back days and the order in which we're doing them.
Excuse me. I just have a question. I know you had said if we needed extra snow days, we're not going to know in the beginning of January. We're going to know in February. So February 21st is President's Day. We're off. That would be the day. Can you, as an admin, say this is now going to be our give back day, or do we have to vote on that?
The board has to decide on the calendar, so we'd have to make that decision well in advance, because people are taking vacation or something like that. So it gets a little tricky if we're doing that. Most of our days, because of snow though, or inclement weather that way, usually it's January, more like February that we use a lot of the days. Although one example you brought up earlier was about, when we had the hurricane back in October that one year. Those are, you could revisit the calendar anytime during the year, especially because of emergencies like that. So we could revisit it if we did get into 5 days or something like that, or there was a hurricane or something like that, and we could always play around as much as possible.
Yeah. Hey, so I would suggest that maybe the first day give back is April 17th and the second day is April 10th. I think that makes a lot more sense, like Mike was saying, instead of having the kids come back in the middle of a break. At least take it off, on the 17th and then the 10th. But as far as the President's Day and Martin Luther King Day, yeah, we often get snows into March. I don't think putting those days on as the give back days up front is really going to be helpful.
So again, you're saying the 17th is day one, and then
The 10th.
10th is day two?
Yeah, I think that's probably better.
Yeah, I agree with David on that. I don't think we should touch Martin Luther King or President's Day. One reason being burnout is real, and teachers get burnout, kids get burnout, and having that one day thrown into each month can really make a difference in boosting everyone, and aside from the weather. And I agree that day one give back should be the 17th and day two should be the 10th instead of chopping up and coming like every other day that week.
Yeah. Okay. So do you need a motion for that?
Yeah, the board would have to.
So I'll make the motion, 17th the first day, 10th the second day.
Second.
If I can just say one more thing. I understand it would be exceedingly rare to have snow that early. I'm just saying that if it does, if there's flooding, if there's an extended power outage or something like that, and all of a sudden we find that we're through Christmas and we've already burned all of our snow days, I think we have to start thinking about giving them back sooner and not getting to the point where before you know we won't have a spring break. I understand what Caitlin's saying about burnout, but January 17th, the kids are just coming off the winter break.
I think we can do that if there's that big of an emergency. For instance, one of our generators at a school that's 60 years old burns out and we don't have power to the school or something.
It's an advertisement.
Yes, that's an advertisement. Yeah, so I think we can come back and revisit those emergencies as needed, but just as a general calendar, I think 17th and then the 10th, first 2 days.
I think we're all in favor for that.
Do you need a vote?
No, you could do it. The change is there, so if you do the regular vote, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else on the calendar?
No, not for me.
I have a question, and maybe I'm putting you on the spot. I understand the whole thing with the Eid. Let me ask you, would there be a downside? This isn't really a calendar issue, maybe, or I guess maybe it is. Would there be a downside to making that second Eid a test/homework-free day without giving the actual day off?
It is.
Oh, it is? Okay.
The second one, it's not formally recognized on this calendar, but we do tell the teachers and the schools to not schedule anything on that day.
Because I heard two students say they were concerned about missing tests, and my question was, who's missing a test? I thought there weren't any.
Well, one of the tests one of the students was referring to is the state. The state has the tests during that time.
We can't do anything about that.
Well, if a student misses it, they would do it during the makeup test period. But we can't do anything about the test.
But it's really not an option for us to give a day off for something like Eid during the middle of state testing. That's really
Well, some
not an option, is it?
districts do that, and then you just do it during the makeup period. That school would have to, all those kids that missed would have to take the test during the makeup period.
I did request in our meeting that a reminder go out to the teachers throughout the school year to not schedule things on that day. So I know it's said to them already, and I think the reminder is warranted because there have inadvertently been things scheduled that kids have not wanted to miss. So it needs to be pushed more in the forefront of everyone's minds, especially as we get closer to the celebration date.
Correct. Last year was the first year we put that announcement out to our staff, and then there was one or two, mix-ups with that, and then this year we're definitely going to be enforcing that.
Andrea, you did say in the meeting that you had like a follow-up there to remind the faculty.
So I put together a district administrative council calendar that everybody has access to within Google, which we use. So it's front and center so that it's a blackout date for, any kind of test, field trips, or anything else that would make children have to decide one way or the other. The only thing that we can't do is state testing or AP testing.
Understood. Thank you.
If the board wanted, we could put it on the calendar and just recognize it, but it's not a recognized day according to this, depending on how you vote, so.
Yeah.
The only issue is that we've had other religious groups want the same thing, and we are just, how many students do we have?
Over 3,400.
We have over 3,400 students, so we can't start picking and choosing winners and losers, because then people will definitely get upset.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Section K. Section L.
Yes, so L, I did have some changes over the summer. There's a lot of moving parts and the personnel section, so a lot of people are coming, going, and different things are happening. So there were a number of adjustments. I'm just going to read them in. For L2, number 7, we're going to add Alyssa Meyer, who's a paraprofessional, and that person has resigned. L3-1 is going to be a change for the amount to $7,641.51. The date is going to change to 1/22/27, and the fashion marketing class will be for semester 1. L3-2 will be changed for an amount of $9,136.35. The dates are going to change to 1/25/27 and 6/15/27, and that's going to be for semester 2. L3-29 will be deleted. L4-22 will be deleted. L4-25 will be deleted. And there'll be 2 edits to L6-1, and that will be for Karen. It'll be a Master's 30, Step 13 at $74,065. And L6-3 will be a change to MA-10 for $76,080.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
L425, if we're eliminating that, who's going to be the spring, do we have a spring
We're
musical?
going to be looking into that. Yeah, we have to get some more paperwork from the school, and we'll
Okay.
have that on the next agenda.
Okay.
Section M. Section N. All right. Can I now get a vote on the consent resolutions?
Dr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. Rappaport?
Yes.
Mrs. Fano?
Yes?
Mr. Palma?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Abstain, section I, yes to everything else.
Mr. Daughtry?
Yes. We are now going to old business. Dave, I know you wanted to discuss.
I would like to discuss with you all the Hilldale situation. This has been dragging on for far, far too long. To be quite honest, I'm getting a little angry about it. I keep pressing on this. I keep asking about it. And I just feel like our bonding company is jerking us around. I think personally we should get rid of this bonding company, find a new one if it's possible, and then sue them for, interest, lawyer fees, everything else that we can think of, as well as lawyer fees, because this is just too much. Okay, this has been going on forever, and they are not negotiating with us in good faith. They are just dragging it out when they should have given us a new contractor way back in February or something, whenever it was that the last contractor failed their third inspection. They should have just turned around and given us a new contractor, but they haven't. And so I really think that if I see Katine ready to tell me that it's not possible to get rid of the bonding company, I think. Is that what you're going to say?
They're not our bonding company.
They're not?
They're the bonding company of the company that won the bid. and failed the 3 inspections.
So do we have any legal recourse against this company?
Yes, we're already in a lawsuit with the company that won the bid that failed the 3 inspections. And we are trying to negotiate with their bonding company because that's the fastest way to get this done.
Well, maybe we should also consider suing them.
Well, we have done that. We're suing
Suing them another time in another court somewhere else to get them to move their rear ends because this is really going on far, far too long.
100% agreed.
So then what else can we do to speed this up? Because this should have been started this beginning of the summer, but it hasn't been. And
Correct.
It's got to get started.
So, right, so all the proper paperwork, motions, and all that stuff went in front of a judge back in June, and things were moving forward. It's between our legal counsel and their legal counsel. We're going back and forth. We were supposed to be trying to get a start date, and then we've been running into more dead ends.
Right.
So now the next legal action, I believe, is to go back to the court and to have the court judge now further force the hand of the bonding company that's been holding us back. You're correct. And I just want to address one other thing. There's some other things that have been going out there on some of the Instagram posts and all that stuff. This has nothing to do that the board doesn't have the money. The money's already been allocated. It doesn't mean anything that the district hasn't done anything on their part, or the board's holding this up at all. This is solely a legal issue, and our attorney has been handling this appropriately. We all agree, including him, that it's not been going fast enough. But the next step, I believe, is to take it to court again to try and fight for that. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or that's.
When are we going to get resolution on this and get it moving?
Mr. Edelstein, I spoke to him just last week at the end of the week, and he is motioning. I don't know if he has or he's thinking about going back to the courts to try and get that to go further. He's trying to work it out because the courts, again, are slow. So then we'd be slowing down the process again. So we're trying to get it going as fast as possible, but
Maybe
I'll be talking to him again this week.
Maybe a 2-track approach where we continue going through the normal route, but also find another route to go after this company because they're causing damages to the school district. I mean, you cannot have a hole like that in front of an elementary school. That fence is not secure. Anyone can walk through that fence anytime. So
Well, I hear what you're saying, but it is secure and it is safe, and according to all the engineers and everybody else.
I know
what you're trying to say, though.
I know how to climb a fence, but I won't. But no, seriously though, I'm like I said, I'm getting very frustrated and quite angry at all of this. I think we need to move it somehow, get this moving quicker, and if it requires a 2-track approach, then we should do that.
I do understand your concern, Dr. Modrak. I'll follow up with council and make sure the board gets an update.
Anything else? Nope. All right, moving on to the next section. We're going to discuss the self-evaluation, Board of Education self-evaluation. You all received a copy of that.
I thought we did this normally in closed session.
You can talk about it however you want in public. If you want to do it in closed, you can do it that way too.
I'm sorry, but this is the first time I'm seeing all of the comments.
You can postpone it if you guys want. Yeah, it's up to you.
I mean, if you want to digest it some more, we can move this to the next meeting. It was sent out in the email, but that's fine.
Okay.
Do the rest of you want to
If
take some
people
more
wanna
time
talk
and
about
we'll
that,
discuss it?
Whatever.
Okay. Then we'll postpone this to the next meeting.
Especially because 3 board members aren't here, so it might be best when we have everybody here.
Guys, some things are blocked out. What are those?
We're going to hold off on everything, and then we'll discuss that as all 9 of us together.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move to the next set. Goals.
Board goals. So I shared with all of you the board goals. These are just suggestions. I've shared with you the old goals as well as new ones. We have to agree upon district goals as well as board goals. So you have plenty of options in front of you, and then you could always add. This was just to get you started and get you thinking, but I'll open it up to all of you.
Yes. So looking at what was recommended, I do like goals 1, 3, 4, and 14. I know some of you have already expressed your interest. If you want to share your thoughts as well.
I actually agree with those. I think goal 1 is important, always continuing to improve curriculum. Goals 3 and 4 really directly relate to what we have coming on now with needing the referendum and improvements around the district. And goal 14, I think we could do a better job of highlighting all of the achievements throughout the district between teachers, staff, and students. I often see many other districts popping up on my social media feeds, and I'm like, oh, wow, do we do that? Could our kids earn that? Like, are we sharing that? So I think it would be great to get our name out there and sharing all of the positive things that go on.
I'm sorry, what numbers did you like? I didn't.
That was 1,
3,
3, 4, and 14.
14.
And remember, it's suggested to have, 5 or fewer. You don't need, there's
Yeah.
no set number. I would not suggest going above that because remember.
We had 4 last year.
Yeah. So whatever number you come up with, remember, we always have to have a number of objectives. We usually have 3 to 5 objectives under each of the goals.
Okay, a lot of these goals, I like numbers 1 through 4. I know that we have pretty much the same goals every year, but every year we also change the steps and the priorities that
Correct.
we have underneath each of those goals. So many of these goals, though, are things that should belong underneath one of the other goals. For instance, promoting, enhancing celebration, goal number 14. I think that's great too, but I think that probably goes under the student well-being. That could be one
An
of the
objective underneath,
objectives
yeah,
underneath
sure.
the student well-being. So I think that a lot of these goals are great. In fact, I like them all. And you could probably take goals 5 through 15 and put them underneath all of the other goals and keep everything. But I do like our standard goals.
Christine, I saw you first. Like Christine.
Ladies first.
Thank you, Michael. So I agree with Caitlin. I do like goal 1, goal 3, goal 4, and I do like goal 14 that she talked about all the good news, because even when we read our Board of Education, all the good news that the students are doing, that generally sometimes is not on social media or put out there, maybe in the announcements in the morning to the students, but I think that would be wonderful to highlight what the staff is doing, the entire staff, administration, but what the students are doing. I almost think less goals is better, so you can concentrate on. I don't like different parts, because this is something that we'll have to continue doing, and to focus on a small amount and just focus on them, I think we'll see better outcomes.
Okay.
Well, maybe I'm being a dissenting voice over here, but out of all these goals, to me, the only 3 that really sound like board goals are 11, 14, and 15. Everyone says number 1. Number 1 says, we will support and monitor the implementation of rigorous and innovative instructional programs by reviewing curriculum initiatives, setting relevant policy, and ensuring that all students are provided with meaningful opportunities to achieve their fullest academic potential. Isn't that just basically saying our board goals to do our job? I mean, to me, goals number 1, 5, 6, 9, 12, and 13 are basically saying our goals to do our job. Goals 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, and 10 to me are saying we're going to make sure the administration does its job. I mean, the only 3 that I think really are something we can say, let's do this as a board, something that we really have the power to do on our own. I think are 11, 14, and 15. Every other goal we have here is just basically either do our job or make sure they do their job.
Can you define goal?
It's, what you want to achieve that year. So, you could.
Is it a task or is it is it a larger thing, or what is it?
No, it's going to be a larger overarching goal that you want it to accomplish. The tasks are not going to really be falling on you. They fall on all of us. So what is, the priority? So for instance, one of the goals we had 2 years ago or so, maybe 3 years, was the MTEA contract. That was a goal to have that finished that year. So, you accomplished that goal. But I mean, there's lots of different ways you could attack that. What do you want to make a priority moving forward? It could be mental health or,
So does the board actually do the investigation on the cell phone usage policy?
well, that's how I report out to all of you.
Report, so,
Right.
but the board doesn't do that. So we would not do that. So that's not a goal for us. That is a goal for you.
Well,
to-
last year it would have been a goal because you came up, remember we were having all the surveys, we were doing all that stuff, and they come up with a whole new policy for that, which we worked on, and then the state stepped in
But now it's your responsibility
to report back to you how it's being
That's
implemented.
not really something that we can do.
Well, not anymore because,
Right.
right, because now it's
So,
taken out of your hands.
so that's just an example of, again, a task that should go underneath of other goals. And I think that's what I was trying to get at, was goals are a broader thing. They're overarching. They're like an umbrella that we put our tasks underneath.
And remember, these are just suggestions to get you thinking. This was by no means, you could come up with anything you want, but it was just to try to give you some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, these are all good ideas, but for some of these, are these goals or really just mission statements? I mean, as mission statements, they're great.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're really goals.
No.
Any other comment?
So where do we go from here?
Well, if you're, either the six of you collectively agree and vote on your goals. If you are at a stalemate, we have to bring this to the board, the following board meeting, and when we have all 9 of us here to do this. Just remember, the board and the district goals help set the tone for the district, as well as our professional development plans that are directly tied to each of the buildings, as well as all the administrators. So we play off of whatever the direction that the board provides us.
Okay, so these goals are going to be needed for professional development.
Yes, we have to have that stuff into the state by October, so you still have 1 more month to finalize this.
So this is how I feel.
Or I'll just pick and just do it.
Yeah. No, I just think Andrea has done a phenomenal job with innovative instructional programs, and she has brought a lot to our district. And the teachers that come have developed a lot of, this goal number 1, I think, is excellent because it encourages staff and administration to do those outside of the box types of programs. I think that is a great goal, to keep doing that. I think fiscal oversight, we need to have this obviously important because of 3 and 4 could be the same. It's all about the capital improvements,
The
financial.
referendum could be a goal if you want to.
That's a big goal, so
would be a whole
that's
separate goal.
2. That's 2. Everyone seems to like that goal number 14. The Board of Education will enhance the celebration and recognition, thank you, of the contributions and accomplishments of district staff and students, and you can add 15 to that. The Board of Education will expand the board's recognition of outstanding performers. That is something we've really never done, right, Michael? We've really never brought, they've sung, the performers have sung and what have you for us, but that's something that would be fabulous. So 14 and 15 can be one goal, something we really have not done, and maybe the staff can focus on. Andrea's and the staff, goal number 1, innovative instructional programs. And 3 and 4 is financial as well as capital improvements. Why make it hard?
Do you want to tally? Do you want to like go from person to person and tally which ones
We could do that.
have the most support?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an effective way to do this. And we are still missing 3 other members, but if we need to get it done now to provide direction.
Why don't we start, Dave? Why don't you
Can I ask
start?
can I ask a question? For goal number 11, what would be different? What would we be doing in goal number 11 that we haven't already done?
Right.
Well, no, that's a follow-up. That would
feel
be a
like that would-
follow-up to the policy that was implemented this year.
But I think that's kind of a moot point because the governor made the rule for the cell phone policy. And so we came up with our version in order to support the law that was enacted.
No,
So there's not really anything else to do with that right
well,
now.
no, that actually is a report from the administration to the board about the implementation of that policy that we
Like
approved.
how it's going.
Yeah, which he already said he was going to do for us when we passed it. So I don't see the point of having that one there, but,
I agree, yeah.
so I'll go 1 through 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so I like goal number 1 and combining goal 3 and 4 as a second goal, just under the fiscal responsibility, the referendum is a major bullet point underneath there. And just something that was mentioned. I think these goals are broader than like just making sure that people do their appropriate responsibilities. These are encouraging to go above the current responsibilities and do more in these specific areas. So that's why I think these goal 1 and goal 3 and 4 are important. It's more than just doing the day-to-day job. It is going beyond, thinking outside the box, bringing in new ideas, and new opportunities, whatever it may be. So I think those are important. And then I like the idea of combining goals 14 and 15 as a third goal, talking about the celebration and the recognition, more letting the town know some of the great things that are happening within our school. I'd be happy with those 3 high arching goals, and then all the details, like bullet points that go underneath them.
Okay.
Thank you. Christine?
My turn. Goal number 1, goals 3 and 4 as a goal number 2 together, and goals 14 and 15 for the 4th goal altogether. Did I say that right? Oh,
Right.
Oh,
So
that's-
you want to combine 14 and 15, you said?
correct.
Okay.
So that's
So
3.
You're doing the mic package. Okay.
Yeah. I'm the same. I like goal 1, combining, I'd be fine with leaving 3 and 4 as individuals or combining that into one, and whether that would include the referendum or creating one stand on its own for the referendum, and then combining 14 and 15 into one goal.
You could split my 3 and 4 too. So I understand. So it's separate, the referendum.
Thank you. I am for goals 1, 3, 4, and combining 14 and 15.
Okay, so what I'm hearing,
Oh, and you've
yeah,
called
no,
it.
but I'm just saying, what I'm hearing, there's a lot of combinations.
Wait,
and all-
Mike.
No, I know. I'm hearing a lot of combinations and all that stuff, so just letting you know, so I would have to redraw all these up, and then you would officially approve them at the next meeting when they're all combined and stuff like that.
Okay, well, in spirit of cooperation, I'll go along with goal number 1. For the other 3 goals, I think 2 and 8 overlap a lot. I think 3, 4, and 10 overlap a lot. And I think 14 and 15 overlap a lot.
So are you trying to combine them all, or?
Well, I'm just saying that if you take the ideals that are expressed in 2 and 8, which I think very much overlap, and I think that has to do with mental health, school climate, things like that. I think it's saying the same thing, but just saying them differently. Then 3, 4, and 10 have to do basically with finances, and 14 and 15 have to do with recognition. So if you have one goal that has to do with monitoring programs, one having to do with school culture, one having to do with finances, and one having to do with recognition and celebration. I think you've got yourself 4 goals.
So can you just summarize that again, please?
Okay. I put goal number 1, that's your omnibus catch-all.
Okay.
And 2 and 8, I think, overlap. 3, 4, and 10 overlap. And 14 and 15 overlap.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you've given me enough homework. I will put this all together and I'll share it with the rest of the board. And then you will officially change it or modify it and vote on it the next time.
Thank you,
All
Tom.
right. So that's the board goals. District goals.
Looking at what we have for district goals from last year, I believe that we should stick with what we have. We continue working on those. I think they're good goals. From everything we have, as you can see, goals 1 through 4. Are there any comments, any suggestions?
I agree with using them.
Yeah, I agree. Most of the time when we do the evaluations, I always end up with, yeah, a lot got accomplished, but this is a continuing thing that is got another years of more work that we can put into it. So I agree with continuing the goals.
Dave?
And real quick, the district goals align very well with board goals 1 through 4. Just thought I'd
Yes.
point that out.
Okay.
Any other comment? Okay. All right. We are now open for the last part of public participation. So if you'd like to come up and make any general board comments or anything, please come up to the microphone. Seeing none, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.